Greetings, peace all. I hope you all are doing good. More than good, great. I hope you're all in peace and love, prosperity, and are feeling zen, which is the word I used yesterday on a Facebook post. I think that's the best description right now. We want peace and not the simple peace that is just like, I'm cool, I'm calm, serene, but the peace that you give unto others what you want to receive. And that's I'm Hotep. But I'm coming to speak on the Mercury going retrograde and the winter solstice, which is today. So today is the 21st of December. And just to speak a little bit on the solstice, um, the solstice is the time of the year, the winter solstice at least, which is what we're specifically looking at right now, is the time of the year when we have the shortest day of daylight and the longest night time. And the winter month is always seen as the time to retune and take time out and do more snuggling, relaxing, because the days are darker quicker on our side of town or our side of the hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, specifically in London, which is where I am. It gets dark around 4 o'clock nowadays, before 4 a.m. That's 1600 hours. So that's pretty early. The school children actually come out of school around 3:30. So within half an hour, it's dark again. So yeah, in comparison to the summer times when we have daylight until about 9 o'clock the latest, it's a big shift, and that was only a few months ago. So it's seen winter in general is seen as a little bit of a dreary time, but I think that's a cultural perspective because everything has its time, its reason, its season. And so, if you look down on the winter, or and are more inclined to the summer times, like I said, I think it's all a cultural perspective. And back in the days, I say the caveman days, you look down in the winter because the winter was the hardest time to be able to feast, or you wasn't always sure where you were going to get your next meal. Whereas when we were in when before the tectonic plates moved and shifted, our landmass and our more predominant place of being, place of living, place of habitating, is that a word, place of habitat, um, was in the middle of the earth plane, and that was where we now know as Africa. And so that was always abundant with wetlands, forests, so those water. There was always heat. The sun would shine there predominantly. And that's just a little history lesson there, but that's not really where I'm going with this. So I just wanted to come in and let you know the rituals that you can do for this summer solstice, summer solstice, for the winter solstice. And it's definitely a great time to keep warm. I'm actually going to do a fire pit, or I'm going to just burn some firewood. Got some branches we picked up from the park the other day, and we're going to cook that. So I've got a little cast iron, my Algoon pot actually, which I'm going to clear out and use that as my fire pit today. And I'm going to add a little bit of, no, I was going to say sage, which I was supposed to get, but I haven't got any at the moment. But I've got some frankincense and myrrh, and I've got some Palo Santo, and I've got some sandalwood chips, and I'm going to throw all of that in the wood pile to add the scent and add to my zen. And it's a perfect time for communing with family members, loved ones, and being creative in all the sense of the word, like make up some songs, do a little dance, write some poetry, and it's a great time to even just appreciate the silence. It's always a good time to get into nature. So, and of course, it's the optimum time to write a gratitude list, or just to say out loud, or to feel it and think it. It's a beautiful time for those actions. Yes, the winter solstice. It's definitely a time to commune. I said break bread in the post. Yes, have a feast with your loved ones, share some food. I'm gonna get my little red wine that's been sitting there for ages. Yes, gonna do that. Sip on a little some, and yeah, winter solstice. You can look more about the history of it all. For me, at this time of the year, it's definitely a time where I take more time to relax. I know in how we've been socially governed is that this time of the year is where everything's just chaotic. Everyone's running around, last minute shopping, Christmas this, Christmas that. Everything is just moving, and a lot of people seem to either, if they don't have a lot of family, they get upset because or whether they have a lot of family or they don't have a lot of family, or they're not in touch with their family, they get a bit miserable and upset and all these things. Or the other thing is that, yeah, they're around family members they don't get along with, so then there's uproars with that. But I think the cosmos is always leaning towards just being still, being happy, being merry, being grateful, being thankful. Because in the winter months, when it gets darker, esoterically, they say that dark things come out to play, or in the dark. So, so it is. I mean, the veil is always thin at a certain time of the day, but we in the winter months is thinner, because we have more nighttime, and like I said, the darker stuff come out to play at this time. Yeah. So no matter your circumstances, no matter what position you are in at this time, just take time to relax and be thankful for all the gifts that you have been bestowed. And no matter what's going on, like you may feel like you want this person or that person around and they can't be around, or you wish you had this kind of situation going, but it's not happening that way for you right now. Be thankful for what you do have. Be thankful for even taking a breath, you know and more will be bestowed upon you if you are thankful for those small things. Yes. And so, in regards to Mercury retrograde, know that Mercury retrograde is started on the 20th, but 10 days before and 10 days after it's in effect. And a lot of people find, like, this is a big doom and gloom about Mercury retrograde, and I don't see it at all, at all, at all. I said one time that I'm really affected. Of course, we all really are affected, but it depends on how you take it, and how you allow it to move you. Again, I always say, as long as you're aware of the effects, then you can govern it to make it work for you or not. And I feel that Mercury retrograde works, or is a specifically or more so effective to the Mercury ruled planets, or Mercury ruled planets, Mercury ruled zodiac signs, which is Virgo and Gemini. So, although we are all, tinged and affected somehow, Gemini and Virgos have the biggest, like, to deal with in this at these times of the year, you know, because their ruler is Mercury. So likewise, when Venus is in its transits, like, the like right now we have Venus in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. So sorry, also someone. It's an extra effect, it's an extra impact, extra oomph, you may say. Yeah. So in regards to retrograde, the Mercury going retrograde, because other planets go retrograde, but Mercury in particular is reveals technology, communications, the mind, mental agility, and thoughts. And you know, these things are very, it's a core to a sentient being, a human being, you know, like, you know, how we communicate is very important because, you know, that's how we can, you know, either rise or fall in a sense. You know, if we're not very good at communicating and we go around shouting at everybody, no one's going to take you seriously. No one's even going to want to deal with you. You understand? If you can't communicate clearly what you want and what you need, no one's going to do that for you unless you do it for yourself. And I mean, you can't really live life without communicating with people, you know, like that is one of the things that we just do. Like it's a big, you can't avoid it. Communication is key. You know, any relationship we have, be it family, love, work, you need to be able to communicate. And you know, we can also say hi, bye, peace, love, but really communicating, whether it's communicating your thoughts, your feelings, you know, and being able to receive communication at that as well. And you know, communication is not just speaking; it's writing as well, as the way you think, mental thoughts. And again, remember that you know, like we just had the full moon in Gemini. I spoke that Geminis have this unique ability to be able to send thought forms very easily and receive them too. You know, like a psychic ability to do so. But with Mercury retrograde, it's like I said, it's not all about the doom and gloom. Especially at this time of the year, this retrograde is always great. It works hand in hand with the general ambience. We need to take time and relax. And with the retrograde, it's always the RE isms. Like, I don't want to call them isms like it's a faux pas, but it's more like, you know, the art isms in the best way possible. I mean that if you regroup, you retune, you reignite. For me, I'm redefining and rerouting. Um, you know, recalculate, return, um, resource, research. All the RE terms is good to look at right now and to implement. It's a time where you should go back on things and see how much what you've learned from it. And if there's anything that you need to go back to, this is the time to do so, to clarify anything, re-clarify anything. You know, a lot of people get old things popping up at this time. Things just like do a full circle and come back round, or come back on itself, so to speak, and which is practically what the planet Mercury is doing at this time when it's in retrograde phase. It's going back on itself. So you may have things that you haven't fully cleared up coming back to face you or coming back to you to have you deal with it. And again, it's never a bad thing. It's just what it is, and it's always best to clear up things at this time because then you know you can move with a clean slate, and you know it's going to be a new year. I say new year because it's the beginning of the financial year. It's not so much a new year, and even still, I mean, I think the new year really begins in springtime, probably around the vernal equinox. But when it comes to that, we'll talk more. I don't feel like January the 1st is really the beginning of the year. But you know, social norms has governed it. So we move with it, but we know the outer bound, or we know outside of that sphere too. So yes, again, for me, I'm retuning and redefining. I say copper fiend. That's a great term. Well, I love copper, and you know, I make jewelry, and I'm retuning and redefining myself to have a great affinity to Kemet. I definitely feel like I was a commissioner in my most recent past lives, and yeah, it always comes around to me. I have my lapis lazuli and some copper wire bundled here. This is supposed to be a sphere, but my son keeps pulling on it when he's feeding, so when he's breastfeeding. So now it's all distorted in its shape. But this is copper wire around there as well. And you know what? It doesn't cut. It was cut. I've got a little loop and I've got a string there. But yeah, so I do jewelry. Don't forget, if you are looking for any copper jewelry and gemstone jewelry, I'm the ones to call. I'm very creative. I like to do thing one unique one-off pieces. Some of them can be reduplicated and stuff, but like usually I like to go with the style that you like, and definitely put my creative juices in it. My ashés all over these things. Good intentions always. Love with peace. So yes, and I call it my crown. It's my headband, and it's copper, smaller copper wires, and then I looped another set around. But yes, I'm looking forward. What we're going to do again is gonna do a little vegetable roast. I'm gonna have my wine, and we're gonna do some singing. We're gonna do some dancing. We're gonna sit by the fire, and yeah, I'm just gonna give thanks. And you know, with the solstice at this time of the year in the winter time, it's great to re-establish bonds. It's always best to do it with people you love. And with Mercury retrograde, don't be afraid to nitpick at some things that you feel that may be unfinished, that still need some work on. This is optimum time to do so. Just looking at the time there. Yes, I think that is all. Yes, and hey Capricorn, happy solar return, happy Earth Day to you, and happy birthday to your mama. Peace.